Hi, this is Zach Mir with the Bulletin Board Heroes here at Zach's Traders Cafe for Friday, the 25th of July. Starting off with the FTSE 100, which is backed off its record highs and backed off the top of that rising red channel from May. The 92.40 level was the target and is the target for the end of next month. We nearly managed to make it by the end of this month, but got support at the old target there towards 90.50 and above that, still looking for the top of that channel. Worst case now is we have to test the floor of the channel 89.75, and I suppose if we get really unlucky, then it would be the 50-day line 88.38. But looking for the channel to stay in place towards 89.70. Moving on to the DAX, which is also pulled back from the best levels, and here you can see that we're really had a dance at and above the 50-day line for the best part of a month. 50-day line there at 23,900, and above that, still looking for the top of the channel there from last year, as high as 25,300 by the end of next month, I suppose. Now, RSI still above neutral 50, so that is an okay look. Looking at the Dow, and you can see that we broke out of that flag, but backed off the record highs, 45,000. Want to see, I suppose, weekly close back above 45,000 to give us the chance of hitting the top of that rising trend channel from May last year, as high as 47,300 by the end of next month. On the downside, not expecting anything lower than 44,000. I suppose worst case would be the 50-day line, 43,200. Maybe onto the cryptos, and starting off with Bitcoin, where there's been a bit of a rug pull. I think the Fed have done or said something, or not done or said something. Here we had notional support at 115. We had already factored in that we might have to test the old May peak 112. And if you can see that April uptrend line there and the 50-day line, that 110 to 112 area, possible support for this market. Obviously, on the upside, need a proper clearance of 120 to give us a chance of getting up to the top of the channel there, 145 by the end of next month, but now looks a little bit optimistic. Onto Ethereum, and here newly included in the Bulletin Board Heroes, and celebrating in the sense that we've had divergence here between Bitcoin and Ethereum, looking quite healthy above the top of that old channel there, the previous target 3480. Above that, we're looking for the upper parallel of that rising trend channel from March, as high as 4300 by the end of next month. So let's see if Ethereum can deliver the goods. Moving on to gold, and here a market that hasn't been able to deliver the goods, at least in terms of breaking that April resistance line there, 3430. We were looking for that to break to get us up to 3800 maybe by the end of next month. But in the meantime, support hopefully coming in at the floor of the channel there from April, and the 50-day line 3316 or so. Moving on to the stocks, and a few that have been flagged ahead of going up, actually. So UFO, which is otherwise known as Alien Metals, RSI 50 rebound. We've got the 50 and 200-day lines both rising now. So expecting some follow through here, minimum on the upside 0.12, best case up to 0.17 or 1.18 by the end of next month, while we remain above that 50 and 200-day line combo at 0.09 pence. Onto Avacta, where people should be quite excited now, given the way that did suggest yesterday the shares look like they've finally turned around. Looks like an oil tanker has finally turned around here. We had an RSI 50 rebound. That's been very reliable as a leading indicator on the upside previously, and has done the trick. Now, we had one of those back in December, and there was a move then from sort of 45p to 60p. Current situation is that we've hit the initial target there, 45 pence, and above that, looking for the upper parallel of that triangle there from back in November, as high as 62 pence by the end of next month. What would be nice is that we stay on the right side of that 200-day line, currently at 41 pence. We haven't been able to sustain that for months, maybe even years, actually, in terms of this market. Obviously, below the 200-day line, market's described as being in a bear trend, and we haven't really been above it properly since the end of 2023, and I suppose properly before that in 2022. So this looks like a major turning point here for Avacta, and something to get excited about, especially given the way that we've actually gapped through the 200-day line as if it wasn't there, which is even better in terms of a signal. On to Bluebird, and here looks as though we're in a mid-move consolidation based at the old target there around 105. Above that, looking for the shares to hit the upper parallel of that broadening triangle there from back in October heading as high as 2.2 pence, hopefully by the end of next month. If you're cautious, I suppose you just be waiting for an end-of-day close through 1.45 recent resistance. Another winner, which has done what we wanted it to do, is CapEx, and here hurtling towards the best case scenario target, 0.45. We were looking for that by the end of next month. If we're really lucky, we might even do that by the end of this month. Upside valid while we hold above the initial July peak, 0.31, and ideally we stay on the right side of 0.35, which was resistance on the way down. Another situation which has been accurately predicted so far, although I suppose we haven't hit the target there we're looking for at 0.2, but a good consolidation here, either side of the 200-day line, which tends to be a good thing in terms of being a leading indicator on the upside, above 0.1 pence, looking for 0.2 as soon as the end of next month. On to EnSilica, which I haven't looked at for quite a while. I always liked this company, not quite sure why, but I have liked it. Here we've had 3 bounces off the 50-day line, 2 off a rising 50-day line. We've also broken through the 200-day moving average at 41 pence, which is healthy. Initial target here was the top of that falling trend channel at 45 pence, and hopefully we'll get that in coming days. Best case is up to 59 pence, the top of that triangle there from July last year, by the end of next month. Ideally, we stay on the right side of 40 pence, whatever happens. Just interviewed Hydrogen Utopia, which looks as though it's the shop is open for doing business in terms of getting that hydrogen produced. We've got a resistance line there at 1.6 pence, let's call it, and the 50-day line just below it. End of day close, end of week close above that, and we're looking for the 200-day line again at 2.3 pence. The sizzle at the moment is that, well, there are a couple of sizzles. One is that the RSI is back above neutral 50. The other is that we've actually got a bear trap island reversal, so we gapped down twice in June, and we've gapped up now, so that can be a very strong setup indeed. Upside value while we're above 1.3 pence, the uptrend line there from back in April. On to Mirriad, which had a good announcement today, and quite an interesting setup here. We've got a rising 50-day line. We've seen the shares sort of bounce off that, going down, in fact, which is rather strange, but intriguing anyway. Up the rising 50-day line there at 0.011, and above that we're looking for a retest of the 0.2 pence area, hopefully in coming weeks, maybe by the end of this month. But 50-day line, a nice stop loss level. The only thing missing at the moment is that the RSI is still below neutral 50, so you might want to wait for that to happen before deciding this is a button to press. On to Premier African, where seem to be some spoof videos doing the rounds, which have helped the share price. Here we've got a resistance line and the 200-day line at 0.03. That needs to be broken, but it does look as though we've got another attempt at turning around, a sort of U-shaped turnaround there. And we've also had an RSI 50 rebound, so at the very least one would expect the shares to hit 0.03, even if they fail after that. Above that, obviously, 0.04 and 0.05, the resistance on the way down back in April, potentially in the frame. On to a stock which I think I covered the other day, and it's obliged by going up 25% today. Here we broke out of that falling wedge yesterday at 0.38, already knocking the door of the 50-day line at 0.5, and looking for the shares to hit the top of that broadening triangle there from May at 0.67. Best case, obviously, is that there's a flurry up to the 200-day moving average of 1.5 by the end of next month, but maybe that might be a little bit optimistic just at this stage. The other point to note is, apart from the falling wedge breakout, is the bullish divergence, a bit of lower low for yesterday and the day before, but higher RSI trace, so that looks quite healthy. Moving on to Tiger Royalties, where there was guesswork, guessing to see whether the shares are going to bounce back from here. RSI still below the neutral 50 level, so that suggests we should wait a bit, but perhaps an end-of-day close above the 50-day line there at 0.2 pence would be a decent trigger for at least a revival back to the upper 20s, 0.27, 0.28, etc. in the next week or two. But probably the best thing here is to wait for the 50-day line to be broken and RSI 50 plus. Finishing off with a type of stock we don't normally look at, but they're not that many exciting things today, apart from Wizz Air, which has done well, I think it looks like it's actually gapped up as well. The high yesterday, £11.10, the low today, £11.12. So we've had a gap higher off the lows. Top of the range and the bottom of the gap there at £13.10, and we're looking for that over the next week or so. especially given the way that we've broken recent resistance through £11.54. We'd like to see a weekly close above that neckline to then assume that we could get up to £13 plus. And RSI also pushed above neutral 50 properly for the first time in nearly 6 weeks. That's it for me today. More updates over the weekend, and also we'll take a look at the Bitcoin strategy stocks as well later today.